There's now a way where you can turn one image into a fully navigable 3D world. But what is even crazier is that it gets done in around 10 minutes. I've been testing this workflow for a while now, and it genuinely changed the way I think about creating. I used to spend so much time trying to get consistent results across different tools, and it never worked. This is the first time everything has felt connected, and I want to show you exactly why. So I'm going to walk you through every single step, and by the end of this, you will be able to build your own world, drop your own character into it, and start capturing content that feels part of a cohesive universe. The tool I will be using for this is called OpenArt, because it gives you so much control when it comes to creating not only a consistent character, but a full world which most other tools simply don't offer. If you want to follow along, I've left a link to OpenArt in the description below. When you first land on the OpenArt homepage, you'll see a row of options running across the center of the screen: story, video, image, character, world, and audio. World is where we'll spend most of our time, but first we need to create our character. You can use an existing one from the library, but for maximum consistency, I'll show you the full workflow from scratch. So click on character and then hit create a character. You'll get 3 options. Start from an image, which works great if you already have a photo or visual reference you want to work from. Describe your character, which is what we're using today, and build your character, which lets you go step by step, and customize things like the overall look and vibe. You'll see a prompt box, a model selector, and a style selector. For the model, open the dropdown and select Nano Banana Pro. This is the model that gives you the sharpest detail and the most consistent facial features. And that consistency is going to matter a lot when we get to placing them inside the world later. For the style, select fantasy. The world we're building today has a very specific atmosphere, and the fantasy setting gives everything that detailed quality that makes it feel cinematic rather than generic. Now for the prompt. This is where you want to be really specific, because the detail you put in here carries directly into every scene you generate later. Here's what I used. A young woman with long silver white hair, sharp violet eyes, wearing an ornate dark emerald cloak with gold embroidery along the edges, high cheekbones, a calm and confident expression, soft skin with a faint luminescence. Fantasy portrait, cinematic lighting, detailed fabric texture, photorealistic. The reason I'm including things like fabric texture and lighting direction in the character prompt is because those details influence how she integrates into a scene. Hit generate, and within a few seconds you get 4 previews. I'll select this one and name her Kiara. She's now saved in our library, and we're going to come back to her very soon. But before we do that, we need to give her somewhere to actually exist. And what I'm about to show you is something I genuinely did not expect to be this good. Head back to the main navigation and click on World. You'll see 3 options: Create 3D World, 3D World Cam, and Cast in Scene. We'll start with Create 3D World, which will be our foundation for everything else. Once you're in, you'll see 2 different sides. On the left, there's an upload panel where you can drop in up to 4 reference images to base your world on. On the right, there's a prompt box where you describe the environment you want to create. Below the prompt box, you'll also see a row of preset worlds that are already fully built and ready to explore. We'll come back to those later. Right now, I want to show you how to build one from scratch, because that's where the real creative control is. For this walkthrough, I'm starting from a reference image because it's the fastest way to get a rich, detailed prompt without having to write one entirely from scratch yourself. I've already generated this reference image of an ancient elven village. You can see moss-covered stone buildings winding up along the hillside, with soft golden light filtering through the canopy of these enormous ancient trees. And there's this quiet feeling to it, like the whole place has been alive for thousands of years. It just feels like exactly the kind of world our character belongs in. Once you have your image, click Prompt from Image on the left panel and upload it. OpenArt analyzes the photo and generates a detailed written prompt based on everything it sees in the scene. The prompt it wrote for me picked up on all the details, so I'll use that. You can also edit the prompt however you want before generating. Once you're happy with it, you have 2 choices. You can hit preview to see a panoramic still of the world before committing, or you can go straight to create world and let it build the full 3D environment. I went straight to create world. It takes around 5 minutes to generate. When it finishes, your world appears in the Creations panel on the right side of the screen, and the result is way better than I expected. You can walk through the village, look up into the branches, and explore the whole space from any angle. It feels like standing inside a place that has existed for centuries, and we built it from just one image. Having a world this detailed is one thing, but the camera system inside it is what turns this from a cool environment into an actual environment you can interact with, and that's what I want to show you next. So now click on 3D World Cam. Click it and select the Elven village we just created. This puts you back inside the environment, but now you have full camera controls. There's a focal length slider that runs from 23mm all the way up to 300mm. If you're not familiar with focal length, basically lower numbers like 23mm give you a wide angle view that pulls in a lot of the scene at once, which is perfect for establishing shots that show off the full scale of the village. Higher numbers like 300mm compress the depth and zoom in, which creates that cinematic, intimate feeling where the background softens and whatever you're focused on feels close and present. Switching between these completely changes the mood of a shot even when you're standing in the exact same spot. There's also an aspect ratio selector so you can frame your shots for whatever format you need. And then there's the auto enhance toggle. Turn this on every single time without exception. What it does is take the raw shot you capture and run it through an enhancement pass that sharpens the textures, deepens the contrast, and brings the whole image up to a level that looks professional. I walked up toward the top of the hill and positioned the camera looking back down the path, with the village buildings framing both sides. I set the focal length to around 50mm to keep it feeling grounded and real, and hit Take Shot. The image generates in the top right corner of the screen. This looks like a still from a fantasy film, not something that came from a prompt and a reference photo. I took a few more shots from completely different positions. Each one feels like a completely different photograph, but they all share the same world and atmosphere. That's what it means to have a set you actually own. But a world this alive needs a character to actually exist inside it. So let's place Kiara in this environment. Head back to the panel and press Cast in Scene. This is where you place a character directly into your world, and this is the feature that pulls everything we've built so far into one complete workflow. When the panel opens, you'll see a character library dropdown. This is where all your available characters live, both the pre-made options that come with the platform and any characters you've created yourself. Open the dropdown, find Kiara, and select her. Now in the prompt box, you're going to describe how you want her positioned in the scene. Be specific here. The more direction you give, the more intentional the composition will look. So I'll paste in my prompt and hit Take Shot. The result was exactly what I was hoping for. Kiara is standing right where I placed her. She doesn't look like a separate element placed onto a background. That's what World Studio is doing here. The character and the environment are connected and stay consistent no matter the perspective. And because this world is saved permanently to your library, you can come back to it with a completely different story or character, and everything will still match. Now, if you want to refine the shot after generating, you can hit Edit Image and it takes you directly into OpenArt's Image tab. From there, you can adjust specific areas, swap out details, or run the image through a different model entirely. It's a clean way to edit something without starting over from scratch. For this shot though, I'm leaving it exactly as it is. Everything we've done so far has been about building from scratch. But there's another side to World Studio that makes it incredibly accessible, even if you just want to start creating content right now. Head back to the main panel and press Browse Library. From here, you can toggle between My Library, which holds every world you've personally created, and the OpenArt library, which is filled with pre-built environments from the platform and the community. And there are a lot of them. Lush natural landscapes, architecture, whimsical fantasy environments, and so much more. All of them are fully built, fully navigable, and ready to use the moment you click Enter. You don't have to write a single prompt or wait for anything to generate. The set is already there, you just walk in. Every single one of these is ready for the 3D World Cam and cast in scene the moment you step inside. You can roam the space, find your angles, drop in your character, and start capturing content without building a single thing yourself. Now think about what this actually means depending on what kind of creator you are. If you're building a social media brand, you now have a signature world that shows up across every post, and your audience starts recognizing it immediately. If you're making short films or storytelling content, this is a stable set where every scene stays visually connected from start to finish. And if you're building a virtual influencer, they finally have somewhere to live. The worlds you create are permanently saved in your library, and you can use all your assets for a completely different project, with different characters and a different story. And with OpenArt, you can create all of these worlds in under 10 minutes. If you want to start building your own world right now and get access to many more tools that upgrade your workflow, I've left a link to OpenArt in the description below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.